Hello out there, and welcome to the Knights of Nerd 2 podcast. We're a podcast for all things nerd. My name is Chris. I'm here in person with...
It looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. It's John.
I'm wasted on cross country. We dwarves are natural sprinters, very dangerous over short distances. It's Sean.
And on the Skype hotline, we have...
It's me, you're Sam. Don't you know you're Sam? I don't have to say my name.
Yeah,
That's right, Sam is the star in this movie.
that's two pretty good ones in a row, man. You're starting to stack up on the. You might make the All-Star team at this point. Put up those stats on the intros.
So we are going to do a KON classic today. We're doing the second installment of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, with the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers, directed by Peter Jackson, and released in 2002, December 2002. Again, second installment of Lord of the Rings trilogy. Let's start. I'm not even going to rehash a plot here.
Oh,
Are you guys thinking? What are we doing? Extended, regular?
extended. All the way.
Extended
Oh,
at
yeah.
this point.
Preference? No. What's your preference?
Well,
Extended.
no, Chris, you could probably speak to this best of all of us. What did you? Because you did the side-by-side rewatch.
Yeah.
What was your preference?
Oh God, extended.
Okay.
We're at the point right now where everything with Lord of the Rings is just extended.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is the flashback that has Sean Bean in it in the
Yeah.
original?
Nope.
It's not, and I
Yeah.
like that.
I
Yeah,
do
so
too.
that's,
So that's-
I think
Yeah.
that's maybe my single biggest cut that I wish was actually in the movie.
Yeah.
You get to understand like Boromir's like relationship with his dad and his brother a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I feel
you
obviously-
also get to see more Boromir, which like
right. Yeah.
in the original cut you get like nothing else, and it's like this. It's like, oh, he's actually an important character.
Can we just table this for a second? Because I do
Sure.
want to get to the things that were cut that should not have been. So I want to get to that, and that's part of this discussion. But can I throw fun facts out here? Or,
Yeah.
little trivia. How's this?
Fun trivia.
Little trivia. In 2002, guess what rank this came in for opening weekend in the
opening
box
weekend
office
Of 2002
of
movies?
2002 opening weekend results. Guess what number this came in? 1, 2, 3,
I think it came in second to Attack the Clones.
Okay. Second,
I'm gonna go third.
third. Sam?
Screw it, like 8th.
Nope, it's fifth.
Oh,
Can you name the 4 movies above it? This was opening
Opening
weekend, not
so-
in total for the year.
Spider-Man 2. Did that come out that year?
Spider-Man 1.
Oh, Spider-Man 1 was that.
Spider-Man
Yeah.
1. Okay.
Okay.
Yep, Spider-Man
Was there
1.
a Harry Potter?
Yes.
Yeah. Attack of the Clones?
Chamber of Secrets was number 2.
Okay.
Attack of the Clones was number 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 4, I don't think you're gonna get, but I could be shocked.
Can you give
Was
us a
it-
hint?
It is a comedy that stars a singer career or whatever it is. A very famous
Cross-platform?
singer has a cult following and referred to as the Bayhive and
Austin Powers.
Goldmember. Goldmember was the 4th biggest
Wow.
opening weekend.
Need to
and then
travel
it
back
was-
into the early aughts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you want total box office for the year?
Sure.
So it's Spider-Man number 1, Episode 2, number 2, and then Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets number 3. Number 4, Signs.
Oh, wow.
5, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and then Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers.
That is kind of crazy to me.
All right?
Because I feel like the first one, was... I don't think people were necessarily expecting the first one in the same way. Like, I think Lord of the Rings people knew, and there was obviously, like, Tolkien fans, and it looked very fantasy, but, like, I think it definitely, like, surprised people. This one, sort of word had been out, so I'm actually kind of shocked it's that low. But you know what? Honestly, what that speaks to is just, like, how different the movie audience is today.
Yep.
I feel like you released that movie with that kind of momentum, especially with something coming out the year prior. That's gonna be like a top 3 easily.
So at the beginning of the year in 2002, the biggest opening weekend, the most money made for the opening weekend at the beginning of the year was Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, okay.
So at the beginning of 2002, those first 2 weekends, I think, that first movie in the trilogy still stole all of the box office. And then at the end of the year, subsequently, they stole the box office for the second movie. I mean, a lot of interesting trivia surrounding this.
Yeah, we're going hard on business numbers on this one.
Well, it's just interesting. It's just once I saw that little kind of tidbit there, like on Wikipedia, it says this placed 5th in the box office. I was like, all right, well, what the hell was out there? You know.
Yeah.
So I'm shocked that Goldmember was higher, and I'm shocked that Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets
Those
was
Austin
actually
Powers
higher.
movies, man, those were like huge, and that was the third one. You know.
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
it was clearly not the best one either, or it didn't get any better. But
Well, you
I
also
mean,
have
that
to
was the
think
last
we're
one.
living in a post Game of Thrones world, so like fantasy is respectable now, I guess. Whereas back in
I
the
don't know.
Back in the early 2000s,
I feel like you had Harry
we
Potter going too. Like,
You had Harry
that's,
Potter,
you know,
Episode 2,
Yeah, but that was the-
Spider-Man. Like, those are
Yeah,
the top
those are all
three.
fantasy.
Spider-Man.
Oh no, Spider-Man's not.
Spider-Man
but-
you can see coming because Spider-Man is the most favorite of all the superheroes ever. It's got the biggest following, so obviously people are going to go see that. And then like, I don't know. It just up to second with Sam's point about fantasy just like not being respectable back then. It's like that Chamber of Secrets was the first Harry Potter, right? So we didn't like
Second.
Oh, it was the second.
was the second.
Chamber of Secrets is the first one.
No,
Philosopher's Stone.
Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah.
which came out I think the year before. Like I think I was at that and I saw the trailer for Lord of the Fellowship.
Okay.
Probably.
Anyway, we've gone very far and not said the word Saruman yet, so I'm going to do that. Guys, what was your sort of first take coming back watching this? I don't think I'd watch this all the way through in at least a few years. I was still struck of how much like I'm watching this now and I'm like, oh, this is totally World War II. Like as an allegory. Like very like specific things just pop out.
Yeah.
But I don't know, in general
Tolkien was a veteran from World War One, wasn't he?
right.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little bit. I mean, look, it's not like it's anything in particular. It's just there's a lot of like you gotta fight or else the evil's just gonna come here, man. You know, like a lot of and the reluctant sort of hero or whatever is not exactly uncommon anyway. But yeah, just a lot of that. A lot of the two towers. You got your little Mussolini on one, and then your Hitler and Mordor over there.
The Iron Sauron just has a mini mustache on it.
I'll say.
So who's France? Rohan or Gondor?
I think Gondor's France. No, I don't know. We'll come back to that. I'll have to watch Return of the King to figure it out.
Okay. All right.
Riders of Rohan are definitely the U.S.
I don't know.
No, because
Yeah, but
everything was lost till they showed up.
No,
Well,
but
in
they,
this
they
movie,
also
yes,
lost half their
but-
kingdom.
No, I would say Rohan is England.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say that's
okay.
more.
Was like, they're all alone fighting, barely holding on. And then, finally they hold him off. But the war isn't over yet, but they held him off.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get to geopolitics here later.
So obviously the big difference from this one versus the first story, and this more or less continues in Return of the King as well. First one is really one storyline. We got some departures with Gandalf and whatever. But this one, we finally split into three. And, I mean, you could never not do that, obviously. But there is, I feel like, a little bit of magic lost there. But also, I like how everyone got split up. I like who got split up into what.
Right.
So like the two like Pip and Mary. I forget like how good that storyline works, considering it doesn't really matter that much.
No.
Yeah. So what's so let's take a poll here. Favorite story arc. So we have Sam and Frodo, and we have the other hobbits, and then we have Aragorn and the trio.
Yeah.
And let's keep Gandalf out of it because he eventually just kind of weaves.
Yeah,
comes
he's
back
part
to
of the other one.
yeah,
the trio.
yeah.
So let's
Gandalf's always weaving out and
No
other
matter
people's
what
narrative.
it is.
yeah.
Even the
yeah.
Hobbit, he does that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. The Sam and Frodo stuff is just I've always been like this is like the weakest part.
Yes.
I just like
I'm with you.
and granted, like I was definitely watching that through the lens of like a 12-year-old being like, when's the battle?
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So this was the thing, right? This was the thing in the trailer that everybody wanted to see.
Yeah, and they show
This
a
is
lot
the
of.
battle.
I went back and watched the trailers. They show a lot of the battle.
Yeah, and granted, the battle itself is 40 minutes long, so
Right.
it's nice. And I think this was one of the first like big known CGI battles that ever came out.
Well, so you're saying CGI?
It wasn't CGI.
There,
'cause it's a lot of practical.
Yeah, but
that's what struck me, I guess, the most about it, specifically the Helm's Deep set. So I think in the third movie with Minas Tirith, you're a little bit lost on the scale just because it's so massive. I mean, at that point, you're sort of like so sucked in, and there's a lot of like interesting things going on. Like you got the elephants, you got the green guys. Not to really touch too much on that movie.
right.
This one, what I liked is how much it's sort of like set in one place, and it's like very clearly like real, like it's a real set. There's a lot of use of miniatures. There's just the way like the like you have these like arching sort of I can't think of the name, like the crane shots like coming over the action and whatever.
Yeah.
It's shot very much like it's a sword and sandals movie, like epic from like the 50s or 60s or 70s. Like it's
Yep.
Yeah.
it really has the sort of look to it that, and I know I ragged on, and I swear to God I won't keep comparing it to, but just as a blockbuster movie, God, I'm just struck of like how much better this looks like 90% of the ones we get today. Like
Yeah.
it just looks so far and away better.
It all comes down to, and this is a hill I'll always die on. It's for some reason at some point Hollywood was like, no, everything has to be CGI.
Right. Practical is not worth the
practical
investment.
is not worth the investment either, even though practical is actually cheaper than CGI.
than CGI. So there is.
It looks better in the long run.
So this was a lot of practical, but
Oh, yeah.
they like copied CGI. So they copied a bunch.
oh,
of
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
all the
filtered, yeah.
Orokai, yeah.
I've
Yeah.
always felt that like the best is when you mix practical with CGI.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
well, yeah.
But that's really just for like the scale. It's not like we're seeing action being the CGI. I mean, I was trying to figure out how they blew up the wall. I think that's mostly CGI, though. I think there's probably some practical miniatures in there.
I
as
think
well.
they did miniatures.
There is a lot of
Yeah.
miniatures, especially like you notice it. And I think they do the thing too where they like graph CGI onto the miniatures.
Yeah.
Like the when they release the break the dam, the tree guys, the Ents at the
Yeah.
end, like
Yep.
you can tell that's like all like actual water. Like it's weird too how it's like you notice, you know, and
Yeah.
it's like I find that just so refreshing, and even like the costumes are done really well.
Oh god, all these costumes in every movie.
Yeah.
Like, and honestly, it's funny too because there's probably like 7 guys who've played all the orcs, but like they've been all done up so
Well, that's
differently.
so. If you watch, and this is the next movie, but I watched kind of the behind the scene here. You have like 100 horsemen, and they just film
Yep.
just themselves
Yeah.
going down and down and down.
Oh, yeah,
So,
like,
there's a bunch of people like dedicated to this.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, they cast the entire nation of New Zealand to do this. So.
can we get back to the battle? The
Minus
battle
2
here?
people because their movie came out same time.
Huh? What are you talking about?
What?
The guy who plays Boba Fett and the guy who plays Jango Fett. Because they're both New Zealanders.
Yeah. All right.
They kind of had a movie filmed around the same time, so you couldn't really.
Anyway.
So back to the battle here. You're like, I loved the fact that it was one of those perfectly scouted locations that fit in such a way. So it was at a quarry, and the quarry is kind of like
that's
like
right.
it's
Yeah.
like the field where it's kind of engulfed a little bit, but it allows you to get those upward shots. And kind of build rails on it, so you can get the overarching things and the practical areas.
Yeah, I mean Helm's Deep just to begin with is kind of like just a cool like the way it's described like kind of location. Like it's such like a unique like you never really like see like a fort like built on the side of a mountain like that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was just sort of struck to. Oh, I guess this is more CGI, but like even just how like it's sort of like choreographed like in the macro of like you'll see. Like that scenes with all the ladders going up during the siege, like how it's like they're all sort of like in synchronous as like a wave. Like it's just like little small things like that just makes it look so much cooler in the moment.
Yeah.
And even like little dumb things too of like in the warg scene, the warg battle, when like Legolas just like jump like I don't know how to even describe how he gets on a horse. Like he like flips onto a horse, and it's like this is so unnecessary, but that's so cool. I've never seen that before.
And like enough time has passed with that where you can clearly see that CGI. You
Yeah.
can see the cut, but at the same time,
yeah.
it's so ridiculous and over the top. It's like, I don't care.
The whole warg scene for the most part is like probably the worst of the CGI in the trilogy.
It stands out.
Yeah.
Like you can definitely tell, like as soon as someone gets hit, they're like instant CGI person.
Yeah.
I would say this: the CGI that mattered the most is, I think, this one that looks the best, which is Gollum.
Yeah.
Considering he's a
Oh,
character,
which-
I don't think it's the most complex thing to do.
It's definitely aged because going back and watching it now, here we are 20 years later, you can see the black outline that is what Gollum is now.
but really, I
Yeah.
never noticed that.
I like when I watched it yesterday. That's the one thing that stood out. I was like, wow, I didn't realize how like aged this looks. Because I remember in like every time I've ever watched it, been like, oh, that's really good CGI. But I mean, it's been 20 years. Like you expect some kind of aging in the CGI. So I don't know. I was just like, wish it was it's one of those things where, remember when George Lucas touched up the original trilogy, not added
90s.
scenes, yeah, no,
Oh
early
no,
90s,
the
when he touched it up,
right? The refinished or whatever you want to call
kind
it,
of
remastered.
I wouldn't mind them doing that with this. Not you don't add
for
anything.
Gollum?
Well, I mean, there's like we said, the morgue scene. Like there's scenes where the CGI is bad, but you just go in and you just kind of touch it up, kind of erase those black lines and whatnot. Like it, just something simple like that. You're not adding anything else. You're just touching it
Yeah,
up.
but
I really did think that Gollum. I thought Gollum was fine. Like I
Yeah,
thought that aged
it's-
well, honestly. But
it was improved from the first one, which
oh yeah, but
it's
the first one.
the
Well, you
first
barely
one
see
was
'em. You barely
yeah.
see 'em.
yeah, but even then it was still noticeably not great.
I think that's like kind of supposed to be. I don't know. I'm like I totally know what you're saying. I think that's. I don't know. I could like see more intentionality of doing it that way. Like it's like a story kind of, or although no, that's happening in real life because he's tracking them. Yeah, I don't know. He's in the shadows.
Yeah, he's in the
Give him
shadows,
some
or
break.
you see his hand.
right.
Like you really don't see him.
I guess, but I'm
fellow.
not in the defense of the second movie. I'm not getting the standout bad CGI like the cave troll.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, it's not that
no.
No.
in your face. Like
Right.
this is what we didn't.
No, but I think some of the war. I don't know. I don't want to like pick on the CGI.
No,
and I think
no,
for the time it was very good. And I still think even today, which is 20 years later, is still like fine.
And better than most movies here
Right.
that come out. So
Oh yeah.
And definitely part of that too is like your mind is sort of like put at ease because of so much reliance on the practical that you see the CGI, it like doesn't bother you, whereas like a lot of modern movies are like all CGI, so you're always like looking for the tears in the or,
The seams.
looking for the line, looking for the seams.
Yeah.
so
Out of curiosity, I know Sean's answer. Where does this rank out of the three for you guys?
Well, do we want to ask that question now or wait for the third movie?
I think now I don't know.
No, I think we should ask that at the end of the third movie.
Okay,
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
embarrassed about your answer?
No, I am not.
no, we can wait until
No.
the third.
Because if
Okay.
one of us says the third movie, it's like, well, why? Well, you have to figure it out when we get there. It's better to review all three and then go back to
Okay, Sean, what do you like so much about this movie?
Helm's Deep.
Okay.
It really is.
Yeah.
a great,
I do think it's
great
by
kinda-
far the
amazing.
best battle. Like
Yeah.
I think the other movie has other things that I
Oh, yeah.
enjoy, but
Yeah.
absolutely watching it again this time through, far and away the best battle.
Yeah. Helm's Deep
you know-
is amazing.
You know what I thought was also really good? Just Sam's speech to Frodo, where he's like, the stories where, and like why are we fighting? Because there has to be some good in this world and it's worth fighting for.
Yeah.
Like, I was surprised how much that touched me.
No, that's the point when Sam becomes the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Not Frodo.
Oh, that takes ready to boil over in the KON Classic in the third.
Yeah. I can't wait for the third one.
Yeah.
When that comes back up.
One thing I noticed, this is definitely being a vast difference from the 12-year-old who's like, "Where's the battle?" The like dream scene with Arwen and
yeah.
Aragon, kind of hot. More so than I gave it credit for or remembered it being.
Can we? Nice little love triangle develops.
Yeah, and is then kind of like smushed, but yeah.
Doesn't feel necessary at all, but
it's not smushed yet. It's not smushed yet.
It's not
Oh,
extinguished
you're right.
yet.
You're right.
It's not yet. So we get
but
a
then
lot of
she
life.
ends up with somebody maybe.
Yeah, but again, extended. Well, we'll get to that later. But it's
Were those mostly scenes in the extended?
well, it depends. So which one are you talking? Like the relationship between her and
All the Arwen stuff is
Faramir?
in the
Faramir, and her relationship is extended only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you do see them like
At the
physically
end, at
together.
the end of the movie, yes.
But yeah,
Yep.
which like you know, in your head you're like, oh sure, of course.
At the end of the regular, yeah. So the
he doesn't have a job anymore.
So if you're watching the regular edition, you truly don't get the scope of how much. What's her name?
Oh,
Eowyn.
Arwen. Yeah.
Eowyn is truly falling for Aragon. You see it, but you don't really truly
I mean,
get
yeah,
it.
it's
who
not as
wouldn't,
played up as
right?
much.
It is the extended edition that gives you that extra. So it's her finding out that he's a Dunedain and like feeding him and kind of communicating more. And it's
Right.
then her discovering him like singing to the horse and saying that was beautiful, all this other stuff. That's not in the regular version.
Yeah.
Like all that development of the relationship you don't get.
I'll say this: I definitely know, like, I know what the deleted scenes are in the first movie. The second two, I feel like I've primarily just watched these.
The extended.
So the second movie you actually start to see story plot holes if you don't see the extended ones.
Right.
So there's a lack of character development.
Like, isn't there weird things too of like, don't you see the trees going to kill the orcs, but you don't actually see where they went in the original?
In the original, you don't see the orcs run into the trees,
But you
to
see the
get
trees
finished off.
leaving, though, right?
No. You still see that scene where he like goes out and screams. You still see that.
No, but like the trees are like, you know how at the beginning, like right when they start attacking Isengard, they're like the trees are leaving because they're gonna go to Helm's Deep to
You see
kill
it in
the
both.
orcs.
You see that in both.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And it's like, whoa, what the fuck? What was that? It's a loose end. Yeah, in the original.
wait, is that why the forest is there at the end of Helm's Deep? Is that the trees that are leaving?
Yeah.
There's-
Oh yeah, that's what I don't know. That's what I always assumed.
The end
All
of Helm's
right.
Deep, the orcs run into the trees. You don't
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that in
no.
the regular. You don't see that in
Right.
the regular version.
Yeah.
You see them running into the trees, and then the trees get.
I
didn't know that Fangorn extended that far, but
No, they moved though.
yeah.
They show you the opposite shot.
But they're going to
looking in,
Isengard. They're not
and
moving.
they're
They're going to Isengard. They're not going to Helm's Deep. Helm's Deep is
no,
away from Isengard.
The Ents
No, but I think
go to
they-
Isengard. The Ents
Yeah.
go
But
to
I think
the
the
Ents
Isengard.
do.
trees go.
Yeah,
I swear to God, the trees go to. That's how I always look
John,
at it.
You
John,
can look at it
John
either
is
way.
right. John is right.
Yes,
Treebeard
I'm writing
says,
this one down. 6, 30, 22.
John is right. The trees, the forest is moving. Like Treebeard mentions it. But he says they're going to Sauron to take on
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Not Helm's Deep.
oh.
But I don't remember mentioning Helm's Deep.
No, because they don't. They never mention Helm's Deep.
But the reason why I'm inclined to believe John is, where does that forest come from?
Yeah, because you
Yes.
get a lot of
'Cause you don't
like,
see
shots. and
Exactly.
it's just
You
all
don't see
field.
it. So they're there. It's just
And if you're the orcs or Uruk-hai,
Arokai.
also I thought Uruk-hai were like created specific. Like I thought that was his own, like Saruman's like home brew. You know?
yeah,
no elves.
they're dead,
Dead
elves.
I know, but like they were talking about, people were talking about Uruk-hai like they'd been around forever.
Well, I'm
Like,
sure that
am I crazy, or isn't there a line by someone who's not like one of the elves or like one of?
Gimli says it. These are
I know,
Uruk-hai. Their
yeah.
armor's thick and shit.
But
this is
Gimli's been
horrible.
fighting Uruk-hai this entire time.
Yeah, so the Uruk-hai
But like they
is-
ran into them. I don't know. I guess.
I mean, they fight them in the first one a lot.
Yeah, but they also know what they are too.
also, but did one say, "Oh, I'm an Uruk-hai"? How do they know what they're called?
I don't know.
They've probably been fighting him for a while.
Did one of them give him his card or something?
I don't.
Isn't it that like they're out in sunlight?
Oh
Like,
yeah, orcs
isn't
and goblins don't.
orcs and
yeah.
goblins can't come out in sunlight, but Uruk-hai can.
Yeah, I think that's their gift.
Can we? So Gimli,
Yeah. A lot
Yeah,
funnier in this
a
one.
lot funnier in the extended
Yes.
version.
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that too. But you definitely that was the big thing of like they made it. I don't know if how intentional this was, or if this was in pickups or like ADR, but like they made they had the comic duo
yeah.
firing, and
Yeah.
then it also keeps going in the third one too.
Did you guys get to watch, pay attention to Gimli in fights? Because I brought it
Oh,
up.
yeah,
I
you
brought it
did
in the
bring it
first
up,
one
yeah.
that
Oh, how they didn't? Yeah.
John Rice Davies refused to choreograph fights. He was just swinging and hitting people. So did you actually watch it?
I
didn't watch it.
I need to watch it through that lens.
Pay attention. So next time, I will bring it up to you.
probably watch it
Remind you
tomorrow.
guys.
Truth.
One thing that bothered me on this watch, firecracker guy. What was the need? Because there's a lot of guys with torches.
Yeah.
Like there's like you see the scene of them laying the bombs. There's like at least like 6 torches visible of like pretty close proximity. Why did they need firecracker?
Yeah, but you know what?
My
It was cool.
understanding is that like this is some magic shit, and you need that specific kind of fire,
Okay, so that's like an enchanted torch or something.
something
No.
like that.
I think it was more of a everybody's an idiot, so we're gonna put one person in charge to make sure we light this at the right
Yeah,
time.
but
And
like,
you know what? It
but why is
still
the
worked.
why is the torch look different? You know,
Right.
Well, because
Well,
oh, that's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
I
That I mean, granted it was raining, but torches were still being lit. So I like it was a flare. It was more of a flare that could probably last
Yeah.
longer
He
than
had
a torch.
he had the sparklers that like won't burn your fingers. Happy 4th, guys.
You know what, Peter Jackson, just shoot us an email.
Yeah.
Just tell us
Explain this
why.
What states can I buy that in?
I haven't read the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers book, so I can't tell
Okay.
you. Two Towers book. Boromir's still alive, by the way, at the end of the first one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's no.
Not yet.
No.
Oh, that hasn't happened.
That hasn't happened in the books.
okay.
So
Yeah, they were talking about how like they didn't they don't follow the books. They just sort of have a good ending spot.
yeah, no. I can imagine like the first 2 chapters, like something's gonna happen. Somebody will say something to him. So
By the way, I recommend reading the Wikipedia for the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the like development. I guess at one point, Peter Jackson and the Weinstein brothers were having arguments, and they were like, "We can just bring in Tarantino and do this whenever." And I'm like, "Okay, look, we've talked about touchable, untouchable with this. I just want to become a billionaire and finance like Quentin Tarantino's Lord of the
Tarantino's
Rings. Like, I just really want to see that."
Oh man.
As much as I love these movies, I'll never not be
I
curious about
like
that.
that the feud between the production staff and the Weinsteins comes up in it's the third one, which we'll get to that eventually.
In the movie itself?
Yes, in the movie
Oh,
itself.
does it?
Yes,
wait,
it does.
which
Or is he the stand-in for the steward?
No. We'll explain. That's a little teaser for the next one.
Okay.
Speaking of Steward, in the extended version, you get the Boromir Faramir,
Yes.
which we mentioned before, and it builds upon that relationship with the father.
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking we come up with a little list here of things that should not have been cut, and I believe this is number 1 or 2.
100%.
I think that's of the whole trilogy,
Yeah.
not even the movie
Yeah.
itself.
I mean,
and it's a
it's-
longer scene.
It's a
Yeah.
great scene too. Like it's just it plays out really well. Where it's like, oh, so this is who this guy is.
Right.
It explains
Yeah.
a lot. Explains Boromir's kind of desire to take the ring in kind of a little way.
Bring
But
it
don't-
back, and
You don't
we
have
can
a
control it.
you don't have a great understanding of Faramir's motivations in the
Yeah.
in the theatrical cut in this movie. Now, do you truly really need it? That's debatable, but I think you get so much of a better light shown upon him
Yeah.
in that flashback. And
That extended scene makes the charge at the end in the next movie,
Yes.
much
Yes.
more of a
Yeah.
somber moment.
And also you understand why Faramir lets Frodo go, because
Yeah.
he is the less ambitious of the brothers. So the draw of the ring is going to work less on him.
Yeah,
Right.
He just
'Cause
wants father approval.
He wants his father's approval. He doesn't actually want power.
Yes.
Right.
Whereas Boromir kind of wants power. He's not a. But I also like how you see Boromir not as a ambitious asshole, which he kind of is in a Fellowship. And this is like he's standing up for his brother. He's trying to defend him. You know, he's kind of nice in this flashback.
Are there any other scenes, Chris, that struck you as important or good
so
ones?
I think what a good one that was 3 or 4 seconds was at the very beginning, the Elvish rope, how he unties that.
Was that not in the original?
It's not in the
Oh,
original.
wow. See, I could have sworn it
also,
was.
the salt packet, also not in the original. I think
Okay.
I think that just kind of is a nice thing to have, and it speaks to Sam's like humility. He just wants to take a little bit of love thing that he loved and kind of carry it with him throughout the
and it's sort of plays to why the hobbits are doing what they're doing. Even
Exactly.
like Merry and Pippin, they have a conversation about this. Is like we're trying to save the Shire because we know this will eventually get to the Shire.
Exactly. And it builds upon his further speeches and monologues that happen throughout the whole series, then after.
Is the scene of the stoner comedy we never got of Pip and Mary at the end there in the storeroom?
That is not in the original one.
Yeah,
See,
I remember
kinda-
that not being in the original.
Yeah.
I kind of it's fun.
very
I like
superfluous,
but it
but
doesn't. It doesn't add to anything. So
Yeah.
I do like the joke about Treebeard, where it's like could be a distant cousin.
yeah, right. What was I going to say? I think another important one that probably shouldn't have been cut out. This is probably another top one for me. Is when they find Theodred's body. So Rohan King's. They search for the body. That's not in the movie. And then they find the white hand helmet of Saruman.
Okay,
that explains kind of, all right, well, where did he get the white helmet from? And where does this son, like, how did they find that? Like, I think that was kind of important enough where it could have been in there.
I have to mention, like, when he tosses the helmet down in front of the king, I just love that shot where it just slowly turns over and then you see the white hand. Mm-hmm. That's just great choreographed on, like, throwing that down to make sure it does that, or just doing that, like, 20 times till it does that.
20.
While
Definitely more.
we're on a similar topic, I think he's like doing 10% overacting, but I really love Brad Dourif in this as Grima Wormtongue.
Yeah.
Like it's just
That was another.
there's
thing.
a lot of expanded, especially him going with Saruman, right?
So but that yes, but that's at the beginning of the next movie. So this is in this one. There's not so much. This one, and a cutscene is when Grima says to Saruman that there's a ranger there with a ring, and then that kind of leads to him thinking that this is the son of whoever. This is Aragorn, essentially.
Right.
Like they brought his heir back. That's not in the theatrical cut. I think that was important. I think that should have been in there. It was a throwaway line, but it was important because it just says what it is. And then the Boromir Faramir brother stuff.
It also helps establish who Aragorn is, because I remember, granted, I was like 12 when I watched this movie, but I remember really it's only till the last one that I was like, oh, he's the heir to the throne of Gondor.
Yeah.
And he's super old.
But that's the super old thing's not in the theatrical,
Right.
so that explains.
Well, he's never going to be as old as his girlfriend. So like,
true.
Yeah,
Very true.
that's true. And then those were like my top ones. There's a couple other throwaway ones that you don't need, like the stoner one. You can kind of throw it away.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah.
The final count, like 42 to 43, and he's like, "That's 43. He's alive still." And he's like, "No, because my axe is in his nervous system."
No, that's such a great scene, though.
It
does,
is, but
it doesn't really like move the story along. But I just love that character moment.
It doesn't,
Just-
but a lot of this, like those Gimli things, there's 3 Gimli things that were cut that just added comedy or levity, and that was one of them. The other 2 were something about like the new Gandalf is so grumpy, that's one that's not in the original. So it's like it just provides comedy, but they're essentially throwaway. I think things that would have been nice. So Treebeard explaining Entwives, that's not in the original, so that's nice. Do we need it? No, but it's kind of nice to explain.
Well,
Can we talk about the ants?
Well, I was
Yeah.
going to say that brings me up to a very good point. The It's a two-part question for everyone. It's who's your favorite character from this movie, and why is it Treebeard?
Okay. Here's my hot take on the ends.
It's too much like my grandfather.
It's also John Rice Davies,
Yes.
yeah.
the second character in this movie.
Definitely, it's definitely like modulated just enough, but yeah. Okay, here's my take about the ends. To me, it doesn't really pay off until the end, but at that point when they turn on Sauron,
Yeah.
that opened up like this series can be anything. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the trees are gonna fucking start fighting wizards and no one's gonna say anything about it.
Because you're not wrong. In the books they mention like the eagles of wherever, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, the eagles at the end that randomly just show up and fly.
There's a reason for it, but
Yeah,
we'll
but
bring-
no.
well, that's
but
next
it's
episode.
just like
Who's-
the eagles are in
yeah.
the books and they're not in this. And then you're right though. You see the Ents just like take apart a wizard essentially, and it's all right. Well, this is the book. This is the story we're going for now.
Yeah.
What's next?
This is definitely something
Yeah.
I haven't seen. You know?
Plus, you're like starting to understand where it's like, yeah, I don't think Tolkien liked industrialization very much. Where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have the trees kill some motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Well, does that happen in the book? I don't
Oh
know.
yeah.
Oh, it does?
Like,
Yeah.
I've heard stories about Tolkien where it's like this was kind of him saying industrialization was really bad and stuff.
Yeah. Well, think of like who the hobbits
Sure.
are too. They're like country folk and you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
singing songs and eating cheese. I also like the little dumb things they do too. Of like the guy who's on fire
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like the first one to
Yes.
like stick his head in. You know?
I always love when movies do that. They have like just a like almost hidden narrative, just a little like side plot where it's like,
Right.
if you pay attention, you see it here. Where it's like, oh no, he caught on fire, but there he cooled himself off in the water.
Speaking of side plots, Merry and Pippin drinking the tree water. That's
Yeah.
it's just like,
Was that in the? Is that
that's
in the
not
theatrical?
that's not in the theatrical.
Okay,
that's
all right.
extended.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
I-
nice, but again, kind
Yes,
of
they're
pointless.
all little. Yeah, they're just little nice filler things that they're like, oh, I can't wait to film this scene, and then they cut it because they can't make they can't have it be 3
Look,
and a half hours.
the theatrical cut was 230 something, I think, and then the extended was 258. So at that point,
I
just
mean,
forget.
the version
No,
I watched with
can't be.
credits was almost 4 hours.
Yeah, it's got to be more than 258 because there's 20 minutes of credits, which helps, especially when we're trying to watch these during the week.
And then there's the post-credit scene.
I'd like to talk to you about the Dwarf Project. What's Samuel? Okay? Samuel L. Jackson is in this as who?
Oh God.
I almost feel like
He would be a great Gimli.
Grima.
No, you need him to be like.
I was the first thing I thought of was Boromir.
It's about an hour.
You know, he could be Elrond, but that's a little too close to Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Especially when he's Mace Windu at the same time.
It's horrible because you're replacing iconic with iconic, but I feel like Saruman. He would be a great Saruman.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I don't know. I just love Chris.
Sam Jackson?
Yeah.
Wasn't Sean Connery supposed to be Saruman?
No, he was supposed to be Gandalf.
Okay.
Yeah, because
He didn't
I
understand the script.
believe Christopher Lee was always supposed to be Saruman because
Yeah. He
he's
loves Tolkien.
he's the only member
met
of the
him.
cast or crew to meet Tolkien. And
This is
and
the
he
second time we've
also
said this.
Yes.
every year he would read that he would do a live reading of Lord of the Rings till he died.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
every
wonder
year
if I
he would do
could,
that.
because I want to. Maybe I want to read the
He's
second
also,
one. But
towards the end of his life, really got into singing heavy metal.
Christopher Lee?
Christopher Lee.
Wow.
Yeah, good for
That's
him.
I just feel like
You have let me hear that, so I've heard that.
it's just very on character, I feel. I mean, specifically the characters he plays.
Yeah.
You know?
when did he pass?
Oh, man.
I think it was 2015.
something like that. I mean, he was like, what, 90?
Yeah, he's like very. I mean, he's pretty
So,
old in Hugo.
so you're telling me there's video footage possibly about him out there singing metal?
Oh, yeah. No.
Oh,
Oh, is it?
definitely.
yeah, he released albums.
Really? Okay.
He released a heavy metal Christmas album.
What is it with the Lord of the Rings people singing? Because Pippin sings
Yeah.
for a band,
That's a
and
lot
he
of
sang
songs.
all the Hobbit trilogy
Right.
songs too.
Well, think of. I mean, isn't
Well, not all of them.
Isn't there a whole song in the? I mean, the Hobbit is all
The
songs.
Hobbit is all
isn't?
because dwarves like to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he ever sing though? Does Gimli ever sing?
No.
What a bullshit movie.
I know. Also, seriously, like one of the characters from The Hobbit is Gimli's like dad. How do you not make that connection ever?
No,
Because I don't think we really referenced the Hobbit except for the very beginning.
they did reference
No, but
it.
like when you go like go back to The Hobbit.
Oh, in the Hobbit.
watch
I
The
don't
Hobbit.
know.
Like,
I've
how do you not bring that up
seen
What do you
that
mean? They
movie
do bring it
once.
in the movies?
Yeah, that Gimli's his son.
When?
Yeah, Legolas is there.
Wait,
I've seen this movie a million
I
times.
know.
I've seen these movies a
I
million
know.
times.
Well, first of all,
so when they capture in the Woodland Realm, when they capture the dwarfs
Yes.
and they search them,
yes,
and then one guy is taking out all the knives and stuff, and then Gloin is there,
Yep.
and then Legolas takes out like a picture book,
oh, it's
opens
just-
it up,
Okay.
and he's like, "What's that?" He's like, "That's my wee lad Gimli,"
Oh yeah.
and then
so
closes it and gives it back to him.
yeah, it's a blink and you miss it moment. Okay. Odds
Well,
are,
why? Like, what?
But
what
it's
are
an
you
Easter
expecting?
egg. I
What are you
mean,
yeah.
expecting?
I don't know.
He's a wee lad.
I mean, not that.
I can
weak.
quote these movies.
It's sad that you can quote the Hobbit movies because those movies are trash.
Because I actually didn't mind them.
We
They are
should
trash.
investigate that at a later time for
right.
sure.
All right.
Not to dismiss it now. Just saying.
I'm
begs
willing to.
further investigation. Just I think of
Okay.
all of us. Anyway,
That's fine.
the Two Towers. I loved when the elves showed up. I don't know. I just there's a part of me of this of like everybody's kind of teaming up and like even Sauron has like weird human guys and they've got elephants and shit. You know,
Yeah.
there's just a
The
certain
elephants.
yeah.
It was nice to see that, like, even though dwarves and elves hate and men, and men hate each other, it's like this little trio that actually kind of just spreads their joy or fellowship among others. And it's like you see I forgot his name. Efili or not Efili?
Oh, the leader.
Yeah,
I
what's
don't
his
know
what's
what
his
his
name? But he
name is.
shows up with 500 or whatever, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. Now we're
Yeah,
gonna lay the hammer
and
down.
just-
Now we're gonna lay the hammer down. We're
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
awful in battle for certain things,
Yeah.
but we'll lay the hammer down.
And they all look pretty cool too. The elves, their
God, yeah.
armor.
Just in sync and everything.
Yeah, and that like little speech he does where it's like, long ago there was an alliance between man and elf. And we're here to honor that alliance. It's like pretty cool.
Is it Mygovan? What's his name? Damn, I can't think of his name. Are you looking it up?
No.
You know what also rocks, by the way? Blowing the oh man, I can't think of the name of it. The horn.
Oh, the Horn of Gondor.
No,
the horn. What the hell is it called? The horn blog. It's got a weird name. Gimme blows at the end when they ride out.
Oh yeah.
That whole scene.
It's-
That's
it's-
so
yeah.
good.
That's the final ride.
Even before the Gandalf part of it,
Yeah.
which is always to me
Well-
like, why?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, guy. You
But
coulda-
it's just that whole sequence of them being like, "This is it. We're
Yes.
gonna ride to our deaths. Let's do this." And he blows the horn, and they just go.
and the way the horn sounds.
Yeah.
This movie does have a lot of like really good speeches in it. Like even that like poem the king says, where it's where is a horse and his rider?
Horn
Which,
of
like-
Helm Hammerhand. That's the horn. Horn of
Horn of
Helm
Helm
Hammerhand.
Oh my
Well,
god! Say that
It will
3 times
sound
fast.
once more.
Sound in the deep. Oh my god! And it's like
It's so freaking good. I
It's
wish
so
I
good.
wish I watched this the first time. Like, could be
Yeah.
watching this for the
Yeah.
first time again.
I mean, like Bernard Fox isn't like a fantastic actor, but it's just I don't know. Everybody seems to like just really hit their marks in these. You
Yeah.
know?
just
Everybody's on the same page. They know what movie they're in.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
They
like the king
understand like you overact just a little.
Yes.
Oh god, yeah.
It's
You
an
know?
epic
It's
by
fantasy.
when,
definition.
when, he,
fantasy.
when he rides out and he sees Aomer, he's like, Aomer.
Yeah, and
It's
like how
this,
they
this boy crush.
they're just like surrounded by like 1,000 Uruk-hai and they're just sitting on their horses like looking. And I know they sort of show the orcs, but like they're just like I don't know. How do you not just they stabbed the horse? Like I mean, so have you guys ever just summoned a horse god by the way, by whistling. That's a great move. Oh, one of my nitpicks.
I've only gotten chipmunk gods. That's it.
One of my nitpicks,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why they did this. I feel like you didn't need to. You definitely could have revealed it. You watch the trailer, they give away the Gandalf thing.
Oh yeah.
Very early, and
Yeah.
it's
That
like,
he came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that lesson. Like if you didn't know,
Right.
that would have been sick.
I
Now,
mean-
granted, a lot of people have interacted with Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
but me, 12-year-old kid, hasn't talked to anybody.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you're right though. It would have hit home because fantasy in that point, it wasn't as big of a book
right?
fan base then.
I mean,
And I mean,
then fantasy is nowadays. But
right, and it's not like I walked out and someone was like, he's not really dead,
Right.
Of
yeah,
Fellowship or whatever.
I just remember in Fellowship, when Gandalf died, because I grew up with the Hobbit cartoon, and so I knew who Gandalf was, I knew who Bilbo Baggins was, and outside of that, I was like, eh. But I remember when he died, I was like, no,
Yeah.
no, he was the best character. How can
please,
he
Legolas was the best
No.
character.
Yeah, this
Wow.
is
Not
this
in
is
the
when I
fir- not
first
in the
watched it.
Fellowship.
Oh, not in Fellow. Okay, all right.
I'm saying
He's not in Fellow.
Legolas isn't the best character in any of this. I
agree with
that's
John. Yeah, that's
you
a
need
strong
to
take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to flesh that out? a
No,
little
no, no.
bit?
That's next movie.
No,
Okay.
it's pick. It's just a pick.
Okay. All right. Fair.
It's my
But-
favorite. It's just
But yeah, I feel like that. I don't know. It kind of cheapened it a little bit. I mean, it happens very early on. You really can't truly spoil it.
primarily
but-
for
Yeah.
games.
Especially when
Oh,
he
okay.
first comes back.
Yes.
Like
it's
you're
so
like,
cool.
what is it? Oh my god!
Especially you
it's
hear
Gandalf.
you hear Christopher Lee as
Right.
Sauron, and you're like, oh, what's going on with the White Wizard?
Yeah.
It's a cool scene.
Yeah,
It would have been even cooler if you had no idea it was Gandalf.
yeah, yeah.
But fucking trailers, man. Where they we have this is it's weird to me.
He is a big part of the rest of the movie.
But
though.
couldn't you very easily do a trailer and not have him in it? I mean, he's not in the battle. He's not in the battle until the very end.
I hate to say this, but praise to the Marvel movies for doing stuff like this.
Yes.
They've especially lately, they've been releasing trailers where they just omit something from the scene.
Yeah, they'll just edit out something.
Yeah, they'll edit something
like
out.
The Spider-Man, they edited out the other two Spider-Man.
Right. So
But his
props
head
for them
turned,
doing
so
that.
he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
because you sit there frame by frame
it's-
watching trailers.
it's totally ruined now because of casting bait and all the rumors. But that's on us. That's not. I can't blame the filmmakers.
No.
I mean, they still
Yeah.
every once in a while pull off a really cool
Yeah,
one.
you could
yeah.
theoretically
But-
go into a movie not knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
By avoiding trailers and
yeah.
casting and all
Well,
that.
honestly, with
Well, yeah.
with the most recent Spider-Man, I stayed away from everything.
Yeah,
and
I think
so
we
when I
watched
sat
the one
down,
trailer and that was it.
yeah,
Right?
and I sat down and I was like, "Oh, Daredevil! I didn't know he was in this." And then once you saw Andrew Garfield, I was like, "Oh, they actually did it!" No, I mean, there was rumors coming out like crazy, but I still went in being like, "Nah, this isn't real. This is just fake."
You got a lot of confidence in.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Lord of the Rings. I don't know, any other so let's talk Sam and Frodo and Gollum a little bit.
You're introduced to Gollum,
Yes,
who
in real
is,
yeah.
I feel like everybody on the face of the planet can do a Gollum impression.
Yes.
Or at least has tried to.
At least saying Gollum, yeah.
Like nasty hobbitses in Gollum speak. Like everyone's done it.
One thing that struck me about Gollum is how much I imagined him as like a New York City cab driver in this movie. Like I had my stoner comedy with Pip and Mary, and it's like I want Gollum driving people around New York City as like a taxi driver, just talking.
We'll
to
take him
himself.
through the swamp, open the windows when it's 20 degrees out.
Yeah,
Drive
he
them
likes
through,
it cold.
Driving through a dark tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, this was probably like our first seeing. Oh crap, what's his name? The guy who plays
Andy
him.
Serkis.
Andy
Serkis,
Serkis, go to town.
Yeah.
Great job. Like, I mean, really solid. That's not hard. That's not easy to do.
Especially now that we understand the the technique behind it, where we understand like, oh, that is him acting.
Right.
It's the CGI is just their CGI over his acting, but they're using him as a base.
Right.
So that now we understand where it's like, oh yeah, no, he is doing a good job acting here.
I also just remember seeing a lot of like 2002, 2003, 2004, like late early internet memes from this movie for some reason of like flash things and like what the fuck is this?
The meme game is on point with these movies.
Oh, now they're
Particularly with this one.
yeah.
I feel like Lord of the Rings. It's not like it's ever really faded, but I feel like it's due a little mini renaissance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like almost like in the same way the prequels got there. Although that's sort of half ironic, but
I think part of it is this like Game of Thrones thing where like Game of Thrones became such this big icon. Everybody who missed out on the first time around went back, and now you have a lot more people appreciating it.
And also to the credit of the movies, and this one is included, you can get like a lot of these quotes are utilized in day-to-day conversation.
for example,
Oh God, I've said release the dam, or break the dam, release the river, or whatever it is. I've said it numerous times.
Truthfully, I can never remember you saying that.
Same.
Not to you guys. No. I don't say it to you guys.
Okay.
No, I'm talking,
I say
I'm talking
release the
daily.
Kraken, but that's a different movie.
That's yeah.
It seems like Liam Neeson would be in this.
Yeah, surprised he's not.
Yeah,
Probably because he was in like the Star Wars mix at that time.
Well, he was only in the first one.
Yeah, but like they filmed, you know.
Yeah, I guess they filmed it around the same time.
The nerd stuff comes out during the day as well at work sometimes.
What else? But what are your frequent flyers? What do you go with from the movie, or even any of them? I'm just generally curious.
I've used break the dam, release the river a few times.
Okay.
Particularly when things do not go well at work. I've also
Does anybody
used-
ever does it register at all?
Yeah.
No, nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
So
good.
there's just a sidetrack here. So there's a higher up who has who has quoted KON
Okay.
multiple, not KON, but like, you know, that there's a few like Star Trek quotes that he just kind of like throws out there when things happen. I'm like, this is like awesome because I get it, and it's awesome that I know that you like this, but it's also there's like 50 people on this, so we got to be a little careful. Yeah, there's a few. I can't think. You're throwing me on the spot.
Okay.
here.
No,
You're
that's
throwing
all
me
right.
on the spot. But Lord of the Rings is not something that I don't.
It's tough to translate. It's tough to just say, you know, let hammer horn ring in the deep. Finish this tax return, please.
Wow.
I don't get to do that too often. Although I do play that one like when I'm like deep in the hole and like need to get my shit together.
What about that? Was it the quote? It's like, "Is this it?" Like that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. That-
is this all the power of Isengard?
yeah.
Yeah, and then 2 minutes, like literally not 30 seconds later, like his the walls blown up and the doors getting caved in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, a
He
little.
spoke a little.
that was
Don't
alarming.
get cocky. to quote
The
it.
Leslie
defensive
spent the
positions
last,
are a
like-
little. I don't get some of the defensive positions in the Helm's Deep. Like once the wall kind of breaks, I know all hell goes to loose.
Oh, yeah.
You know, battle and things like that. But the archers were standing there, and they shot one arrow, and then they charged. But then, as you watch them charging, there's like 10 still in the quiver. So I'm like, why not just fire
keep
off
going.
all 10?
Just
why not
keep going.
Why not just do that? And then when they're like charging up the single stone staircase to get up, why not just stand in front of the archway and just shoot down? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but I don't get it. I don't get it.
I also found this interesting this time around, and I don't know why this stood out, but and I don't know if this is a Tolkien thing or this is an adaptation, but it just being like half of humanity is like 3,000 people. Like, you know what I mean? Like all of Rohan is like a couple grand. You know what I mean? And they're like 10,000 Uruk-hai against,
I mean-
what did they say, like 800 or whatever, or like 1,000 or something like that?
I don't know.
I mean, I think Tolkien might have been just dealing with like, yeah, this is Middle Age time, so yeah, an entire country would be like a couple thousand people.
Yeah. I don't know.
It was also
Yeah.
the time before man took over, so
Yeah. I mean, it was just odd to me. It's not like it's even a problem. It's just like, and it works because of sort of the way the movie, and it doesn't make the scale too big. I
Right.
guess like what I was saying before, like the third one is,
oh yeah, we'll
the
talk
ultimate
about it.
kind of fight, but this is just kind of like, yeah, they got to hold the castle,
Yeah,
I can't
Plus,
wait to
I
see
don't-
which
I
one's
don't-
better.
I don't think that was all of Rohan. That was just the capital city.
Okay.
I think that's what,
God, that looks so cool too.
yeah, it does.
I forget the name of that city. They mentioned it a couple times, but
Yeah, the Rohan stuff is tough to. All of it sounds very similar.
it's
What,
all
the city-
Ro something.
It's like some isn't. I don't know.
I mean, it's no more confusing than the fact that the two bad guys are pretty much
same
the same name.
Yeah.
Sauron
Yeah,
and Saruman. And every time I'm like talking about these movies, I'm like, oh yeah, with Saruman. Yes, the
The way-
wizard guy.
The key I always remember: the wizard guy has the longer name.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Sauron just sounds more evil. I don't know about that.
No.
Saruman?
sounds pretty evil.
Yeah.
I would say Saruman sounds more evil than Sauron. Just throwing that out there. Why
I
why
don't-
would you trust him?
Yeah. I don't think. I
Eridus.
don't think you're wrong. That's what it's called.
Eridus, yeah.
Okay. That looked cool,
took me a
considering
while.
they just build that set in the middle of nowhere.
No.
In New Zealand, there's a lot of stuff in nowhere.
Why did it look so much like Colorado and Power of the Dog?
You mean Wyoming?
Well, Wyoming, yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So yeah,
I believe that was Montana.
Yeah,
It was
Oh, was it
Montana?
Montana? All right.
Yeah.
Either way,
On the
it
third
wasn't.
try. Yeah.
It wasn't either way. But yeah, so what I was just looking up prior, going with Lord of the Rings, there's a game called Ark where you're on an island and there's a bunch of dinosaurs. I've been playing the new map just recently came out less than a month ago, but it is a kind of like a Viking type map, and they've incorporated some Lord of the Rings stuff into the map, which is really cool. And I was like trying to figure out. So one was from Fellowship, the dwarven city where they fight the Balrog. Like that's in
Moria?
the game. Yeah, Moria. That's in this game, so you can go into it and like see the bridge where Gandalf fought the.
Bridge
The
of
ball-
Khazad-dûm, I believe it's called.
I remember playing a lot of Call of Duty, original Call of Duty maps, like user maps that were all these things, like Helm's Deep
Oh,
and
yeah,
Minas
yeah,
Tirith
yeah.
and Moria. And
Yeah.
it was great too because they were like freaking massive, and it was like a 10-player map, or there's like 10
yeah,
people in
yeah.
the room, so it's
So,
like
so imagine like these maps are done by professionals, not like fan
Right.
made maps, which is like it's pretty cool. Like I came across Moria like a week ago. I was just like flying around. I was like, "What's that?" And I go in. I'm like, "Oh, I know this place."
yeah.
So it would be funnier if you
Any-
walked in and you were like, I have no recollection of this place.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Any final thoughts here on the Deuce Towers?
No, I think this is when the games started really kind of coming out, and taking off, right?
Yes, yeah, for consoles.
Yeah, the console, the Xbox,
great.
is had a
Xbox
couple.
and PlayStation 2.
Yeah, the Orcure.
Those games were great.
I loved those games.
by EA, Electronic Arts.
Those were so
have the
good.
mighty fallen.
I think I still have
wait.
one of those.
I don't
What?
know if I've ever played those games. The
Really?
Lord of the Rings games?
Oh god,
Yeah,
it's so worth it.
Yeah, like
It's so
parallels.
worth it.
So there's no Fellowship, but Two Towers starts with Boromir's death, I believe.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
you're fighting through.
Oh,
the
there's
woods, yeah.
definitely an original. I've seen it.
Is there a Fellowship?
Yeah,
I don't think
it might have just been on PlayStation, but I've seen.
But
I feel like it's a ring of power. I've seen it.
so this is where I think this is when like the games really started to take off. Like this movie is when they kind of built it out for that. It was just like stupid fun.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not ridiculous. It's
a
not really
hack and
hard or
slash.
anything.
It's just like you go, Maragon, and you just kill Oracle.
Is it like a gauntlet sort of deal? Where it's just...
No, yes and no. It was like it wasn't as like top down like Gauntlet is, but it's like pretty damn close. It was a lot of fun. I love those games.
Yeah, that's another big thing. That,
I wonder
that
if I
started
can
happening.
get that. We'll see if I.
It
can
might be
get
on
those.
Steam.
No, I don't think they're on Steam.
No, they're
EA
not.
is weird. EA has their own thing called Origin, and they're like, you need to sign your life away to us.
Oh, that thing? Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't really use Origin anymore.
Oh, they don't? They've given
Yeah.
up on it? Thank
Yeah,
God.
because like you used to only get Mass Effect 3 on Origin, but when they released the remastered, they were like, "Fuck it, we'll put it on Steam."
Good.
Can we end on this note?
What?
The Academy Awards.
Okay, yeah. Perfect.
So this was nominated for 6 categories: picture, art direction, film editing, sound editing, and visuals. And only won 2: sound editing and visuals. Which is fine, but then again, we'll discuss it later. But they just kind of all made up. But I just wanted to at least put this out
All right.
there.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing to throw out.
Any final thoughts? Lord of the Rings: Two Towers.
Other than that, they're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
There were so many lines that like I was thinking about using for my thing, but the Sam thing just was too perfect.
Oh yeah.
And one of them was like, "What does your elven eyes see?"
Yeah. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. Have you ever seen that song that
Yeah,
uses that? That
I've seen the song.
Yeah. Where it's like the techno remix of the theme, and they use that line a lot.
Like
it's great.
for a second, I thought about using the "Where's the Rider and His Horse" poem, and just doing that one.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
So if you like this episode, listen to the other classic for the Fellowship, and then
Stay tuned.
We will also be finishing up the trilogy with another KON classic some point in the future.
Hopefully before the Amazon show drops.
Because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
kinda,
Yeah. We'll do it before then. We'll do it.
that's kind of why we're doing it. It's 'cause
Yeah.
the Amazon
Also, there's not really any movies anymore, so
Yeah,
you know.
there's like there's a few. I mean, Thor's in like 2 weeks.
Not necessarily true. We have this like weird gap in between.
It's weird.
Yeah.
when
It is an odd.
But there
period.
used to be
Things
some
are coming
movies.
up, so-
yeah. We don't need to go there.
things are out there.
Yeah.
So if you like all of the rest of our episodes, you can find the regular episodes streaming on all the streaming services for free. Apple, Podbean.
What is Sam doing?
What?
We can hear you writing. At least I
Oh,
hope you're
sorry.
writing.
Oh, he's
Sorry.
right my closer. Anyway, that does it for us for this week. Until next time.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.